So, welcome to the Showcase, the podcast that gets up close and personal with the bright lights of the West End. And this week, if you're thinking, it's a Monday, how do I get through the week? Don't worry, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. See what I did there? Yes, indeed, I best get my skates on because there is a lot to cover with this week's chosen trailblazer. Now, you could call her the Jane McDonald of the Queendom because she's performed in an awful lot of cruise productions of 6 over a 4-year period. But now she is making history by originating the role of Mama in the current Troubadour production of the Olivier Award winning Andrew Lloyd Webber's production of Starlight Express, performing what is genuinely one of my favourite numbers in musical theatre history, I Am the Starlight, 8 shows a week. Yes, that's right, nobody can do it like this steam train, it's Jade Marvin.
That was excellent.
I did a lot of homework there, didn't I?
That was amazing.
Thank you. You can put that in a show reel or something.
Can I have that?
Exactly. Just send it out to casting people. There you go, your pocket CV. Well, thank you so much for coming in. And we've obviously got you in the building on your day off, which is we're really, really grateful for because you are in a show that is not just about the triple threat of acting, singing, dancing. You also have the small matter of skating on top of that. Does it almost feel unusual these days when you're not on wheels?
Actually, I feel so comfortable on the skates now. I mean, we've been doing the show for nearly 16 months. So yeah. I would hope, fingers crossed, that I would feel comfortable. But genuinely, being on the skates, it's like second nature. Just wheeling around, doing little things. I do things that even don't know how to do.
Yeah.
My feet are just doing something and I'm like, oh, great, I can do that now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, obviously I've been walking, 30 years of my life, so.
Well, who knows how long you'll be on skates for, that's the thing. I mean, the process of auditioning, well, generally, must be gruelling as it is, but you, in a show like this, have the added challenge of doing the skate school, which I feel like you sort of hear all about, but no one quite knows what goes on there. But can you sort of talk us through the process of what you have to do to end up playing a role in the show?
Right, skate school. So there's like a whole kind of audition process. They do a lot of things. They do like lots of like checks to make sure that you're going to be kind of capable and able and like willing to learn, because one of the main things that we got taught about skating is that it's all about the gumption. It's all about going for it. And there are things that you're not going to get straight away, and there are things that you just take a little bit of time to figure out. But if you haven't got the willingness or like the get up and go, that is like the first step. And unfortunately, if you haven't got that, then you're not going to be a great skater. But you start off, and I think the thing I didn't realise is that they didn't teach us how to brake for the first 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
So people would just be skating and then just kind of like bashing into walls or holding onto doors to kind of like stop.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, I don't think this is very safe. I don't understand why I don't know how to stop. But it's because I think they want to get that fear of like falling, that fear of kind of being out there in the unknown and not really know what's going on. Yeah. They have to get that out of you so that they can teach you all of the skills.
Of course, yeah.
And then after a few days, you do get taught how to stop. And I think that was my favourite day because I was like, I finally feel safe. And you just go through. They start off really, really gentle, really, really easy. You do lots and lots of drills, just like picking up tiny little skills and getting yourself feeling comfortable, because it's all about like your inside edges, your outside edges, where you'll put the weight on your like toes or your heels or your feet. Yeah. So there's just like a lot of skill-based work that you have to learn. And I think the main thing about it as well is the repetition. Of course. So you start off really small and you just get bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah. Like I remember when we started going over the bowl, which is like the big kind of like ramp in the centre of our stage. Yeah. The first time we probably went over smaller than a speed bump. It was probably like this big, and everyone was shaking like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go over it. But then you do it, and then you move up a little bit, and then you move up a little bit, and suddenly you're taking on the humongous bowl.
Is there a moment that is a bit of a breakthrough where you're like, oh, I think I can actually do this now?
I think so. I think once you start achieving things, you realise this is possible. Yeah. I will say skate school is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. I can't speak for my whole cast, but I think someone cried every single day. Like, it is intense because you are really kind of throwing yourself out there and learning a new skill at, in your 20s, in your 30s. Like, That's madness. But the other thing I would say is that when else are you paid to learn a skill?
Yes,
Like, I
that's
genuinely
yeah,
felt like I was at summer camp. Like, I felt like
yeah,
I had chosen to go there and kind of, practice roller skating. But
yeah.
actually, I was getting paid to be there
This is
and to
true.
learn this skill. And there is no other, like, show, job, maybe in the circus, I don't know, but, like, that you actually get paid to learn something. I think
Yeah.
that is so special.
I feel like it's almost a bit of a reality show waiting to happen because, again, like you said, there must be so much drama and so much anxiety day in, day out that they've missed a trick there. Really useful group.
And imagine, I actually don't know if it would be, especially in those early days, if it would be detrimental to the show,
Yeah.
because it is such a mean feat that learning to skate is so difficult. And I think it only becomes fun because of the amount of like love there is in the room and the amount of care and like onus that they really want us to do well, because it is difficult and you do fall over a lot.
Yeah.
And it creates this, I think ultimately you lose your sense of ego because everyone has seen you on the floor falling over after
True.
trying to do something. How can you stand there? You just got to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
There's nothing else you can do.
It must be quite a leveler, actually. Yeah, like you say, in that sense, like because everyone really, well, unless you've been trained in skating prior to that, everyone is starting off at in exactly the same place.
Yeah, most people, and we do have a group of people that came that have done the show before from Bockham.
Yeah.
But they came at a later date.
Yeah.
So they're not there kind of just standing around while we're all like falling over. And I do think that everybody comes in at a different level of like dance or acting experience or singing experience. But actually at the skating, you're all on ground zero.
Yeah. And without sort of dwelling on the negative, but obviously it is quite dangerous skating. Is it a show that's quite rife with injuries, or do they sort of drill the health and safety so much into you right at the beginning that people are...
We do. Do you know what? Like we have like a massive health and safety talk at the beginning of like any like levels, so skate school rehearsals, jumping on the set. So there's a lot of like safety that goes into it. We have a physio on site that is there for maintenance, but also for any injuries that do occur and any like they're very good at giving you like tips and tricks to make sure that you don't get injured. So like very, very thankfully, thank God, I've not had any serious injuries yet. And we haven't had that many, I wouldn't say. Of course, there are bound to be little like niggles and things.
Yeah.
But our physio, she's very good at, if you come to her with something like my left shoulder starting to ache when I do this certain thing, she'll give you like 3 or 4 different things to do so that it avoids becoming an injury.
Yeah.
I would say obviously skating is very dangerous, but it's the same as, stepping outside the house and falling off the curb,
Of course, yeah. But I suppose no one really does think about that in terms of the physical strain, like I said right at the beginning, that goes with doing any West End show, I'm sure, but just having that added layer of physical strain must be...
Yeah. It is tough, but also I think everyone is so... like everybody is so willing and wants to be there that they're all putting in 100% to make sure that they are capable and able to do that. Nobody is kind of coming in and being like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to go on today. Like everyone's really going for it, and therefore you reduce injuries.
Yeah. Now, I said when you arrived, obviously this production, I've seen it and I loved it, and I felt like it's a reimagining, but it very much honours the original and kind of stays true to the nostalgia that people that did see it first around, who were old enough to have seen it first around, remember. But do you think it was the right time for a show like this to make a comeback?
I think 100%. I think the West End theatre scene is so diverse and is so interesting, but there really is nothing like Starlight Express.
Yeah.
There is no other show on roller skates with this level of kind of excitement and pizzazz, and we've got all the lights and we've got all the sounds and we've got people skating in and out of you. I think that we really needed this, and it's really fun. It's such a nice kind of 2-hour escapism from the kind of crazy world that we live in right now. And I think that's why it's so popular.
Yeah. And of course, it was written by a creative genius, really, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yes.
What's that experience like when he's in the building? I mean, I assume he was quite heavily involved, particularly in the early stages when you were sort of rehearsing it and all of that. I mean, it must be a real kind of pinch me moment to be like, I'm performing for the Lord.
Honestly, yes. Like, He is Lord Andrew Lloyd Webber,
Yeah.
but he also is like a stringent creative. He is like so passionate about the work, and especially towards the beginning, like the thing with Starlight Express, there's so many versions and there's so many things that they can draw from. Him and Richard Stilgoe, the writer, so many like different versions of songs and little melodies and things that they can draw from. So they were essentially like collating all of their Starlight world and picking the best bits for this version of Starlight. So they would be in rehearsals and they would be like watching bits, and they'd be like, actually, we're going to put this bit in here. And it would be something that they'd written for a different version of Starlight.
Oh, wow.
And then it got put into our show, which was just so lovely. And genuinely, like, he's so supportive. Like, he has got, full of compliments for us, and he's always saying, just go for it. Just show us what you can do, and then we'll figure it out. And I thought that was really cool, because when these kind of giants of the musical theatre industry, you don't know what they're going to be like, and then anybody has the dream to work with these people, and you just hope that it kind of goes well, and it felt like it really did. I mean, to get to do all the things that we've done this year, and to have them be so supportive and say such nice things about us, I think has just been so lovely.
And how familiar were you with the show going into it? Was it something that you'd listened to before or seen before?
I'd never heard the show before in my life.
Oh, wow.
Which is so bad, because when I got the initial audition through, and it said you're going to be singing Light at the End of the Tunnel, like this is one of the audition pieces, just like a cut of it. I literally was like, I've never heard this song before in my life. And it is so iconic. Yeah. Like, it's such an iconic song, and everybody seems to know it. Like, my mum knew it, but I just never heard it ever. Oh. So I was literally like, oh my gosh, there's so many words. I was like, look at the sheet music, and I was like, how am I going to learn this? But of course you just do, because it's auditions and you make it work. But I had no idea. I didn't know there was this huge kind of plethora of music. I didn't know there was all these different versions. I didn't know that there was all these incredible famous people that had done the show when they were 20 and gone on to become icons. I didn't know any of it.
In some ways though, it's probably a good thing, because you're coming into it, and again, the role that you're now inhabiting was originally a male presenting role. So maybe in some ways it was probably a good thing that you hadn't listened to it before. And
I think as well, our version is kind of a bit more, I don't know, maybe a bit more poppy and a bit more current, definitely. I mean, I know they did a lot of rewrites and stuff to bring it a little bit more into the 21st century and make it really connect with the children of this age, because obviously the whole point of Starlight Express was to bring children into theatre. It was written to allow a kind of entry musical for children to really get the buzz and to feel the spectacle of what people can do on stage. I think the thing is as well that it's been Mama in Germany for years. The incredible Riva Rice, who I actually went over to Germany in November and watched, which was incredible. Got to meet her, and she's just incredible, insane.
I saw her as Pearl when she did.
God, no! I mean, she is incredible, and she was such a lovely lady, and so supportive of me kind of taking on this role in London, and just gave me all the lovely advice and tips and tricks. But it has been Mama over in Germany for a long time, so it's not like this is a complete new thing. But also there is no recording. There's no official recording of Mama.
Well, until now.
Until now, which
nice
is
plug
also
there.
Very cool. But I hadn't heard it because there isn't anything on the streaming platforms. So it was I think it was just very interesting. Very interesting to go into something and just be like, I'm just going to try my best and put my own spin on it.
Yeah. And you half answered one of my questions, because I was going to say, obviously, Starlight Express was one of my favourite childhood musicals. And in some way sort of defined my childhood a bit, because it's one of my memories of theatre at that age. What were the musicals that had the greatest impact on you growing up?
Oh, okay. So it's going to sound so weird because I didn't end up becoming a dancer or any kind of relation to it, but I loved Cats. I just loved Cats. And I think it's this thing that Andrew Lloyd Webber, like, it's so clever what they can do, because it's so random. Like, Cats is such a random musical, but it's so interesting to watch. Like, I loved watching all the dancing. I loved watching Victoria the White Cat doing her solo. I love watching McCavity and the girls being kind of sexy. Like, I really, really, like, I just wanted to be a cat. Like, and it's, you know, it's mad that I didn't end up kind of going into the dance world, but I really loved Cats. And then as I got a little bit older, like, I loved High School Musical, those kind of things that was, like, on my TV, because I didn't really go to the theatre that much as a child. Like, I enjoyed doing theatre. I think I remember doing, like, Wind in the Willows when I was, like, 9 or 10 at some, like, Amdram community project. And I enjoyed being part of it, but, like, we didn't really have the money to be going up. I mean, I lived in Wales as well, so we didn't have masses of theatre around us, and we didn't have money to be travelling to London to come to the West End, so I wasn't really exposed to it until probably like my uni age. And I think that's why I watch so much theatre now, because I luckily, you know, and I always try and get as many deals as possible, can afford to go to the theatre, and I just want to immerse myself in it, because I love it. I love it so much.
Well, who knows, maybe Cats will be the next Lloyd Webber project that you're part of.
I don't think I'll ever be in Cats, but I very much enjoy watching them on stage, prancing about and giving absolute life.
I could see you doing a good McCavity. I can't remember which character that one is, but
I would love to be. Or maybe the Rum Tum Tugger, if they ever like gender switched it.
Yes.
That would be so fun. I can see me doing like the little rap.
And I was going to ask, are you a firm believer in everything happening for a reason? And the reason that I asked that was because you were obviously in Six prior to this, and when you started in Six, that was pulled after 2 shows? But then you sort of look at things, and then 5 years down the line, you know, you've just performed at the Oliviers, you did the Royal Variety, you're doing a Lloyd Webber show every night. There must have been a lot of bucket list moments ticked off. So do you now sort of think, oh, well, do you know what? Sometimes people might have to have faith in the journey of being like, it might not be quite right now, but it will turn out all right.
Absolutely, 100%. I started Six in 2020, and I'd auditioned for Six, I think about 6 times before I finally got the yes. I had lots of finals, lots of not quite right for this, lots of go away and work on this, and then I finally got the job, and I was so excited, and I literally was like, this is it, this is my, like, this is what I've done it all for. And then to go out there, we did 3 weeks rehearsals, and then we actually ended up doing 4 shows, because you do 2 shows per night, so we did 2 days work basically on the ship. And after like the 3rd show, I think they said, everything's been canned, like you're going to be sent home, the world has COVID. And we were just like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, obviously, like, it wasn't a thing really before we'd left. So we were like, oh, okay, then I guess we're just going home. What we didn't then realise was how long COVID was going to kind of take over, how much that was going to impact the industries, theatre, cruise lines, you know, everything. And how it kind of all worked out. And then very, very luckily, there's a lovely girl called Jasmine, and she was playing Arrogant in the other cast, the other ship cast. And we actually ended up going to an audition together for Mamma Mia, and she ended up getting that job. And because she got that job, there was a space opening for an Arrogant in the opposite cast. And I guess, you know, of course, you know, there's some merit to how I presented myself, but because I was the Arrogant from the other one, I guess I was on the short list of people that they could ask, and then they asked me, and then I went out, and then I got to do like a whole full contract as Arrogant. But if maybe Jasmine hadn't got that job, there wouldn't have been a space for me. Or if Jasmine, or if it had been the Berlin that got a job, or someone, you know. So I was literally like, and it was so nice, that was the first time I'd met Jasmine as well. So we literally met. We were like, oh my God, we're both Arrogants. And then she was able to go and do something amazing, and I was able to go and do something amazing. So I really do believe that everything happens for a reason. It's so astringent in my life, even with Starlight. Like, it's the same casting directors as Six, so they you know, remembered me from doing that show. I just come back like a month earlier from my last contract on the cruise line with Six, so I was available to do this. Everything worked out so perfectly, and the amount of opportunities that I've had this year has been mind-blowing. Every time I just can't believe that I'm here, and I can't believe that people trust that I can do that.
Yeah.
And I guess that's something that, you know, we all need to have a bit more self-belief in ourselves, because people do trust in you and people do want you to do well. And as long as you work hard, you can do it.
And I think something we've touched upon on this podcast a lot is about navigating disappointment, because, you know, I bill everyone as a trailblazer, but at the same time, everyone has endured disappointment. And I'm sure there would have been a point where you thought, this is never going to happen for me. But
100%.
you do sort of have to persevere, don't you? And just
100%. When I graduated in 2017, if I'm correct, and I didn't work for a whole year. I did every West End audition that I was like right for, and that was quite a lot of the time. This was when there was a lot of big shows. Motown was still in town, Mormon, Dreamgirls was in town. There was a lot of shows that, like, you know, you'd put me in the category for. And I think I had 6 like West End finals, and I didn't get a single one. Yeah. And I was working 3 jobs. I was singing at a place called Sing Easy in Piano Works that doesn't exist anymore. Oh, yeah. I'm so old. And I remember I was just going to all my jobs and I was making ends meet, and I literally would be like breaking down in the toilets because I was so tired, and I was so like overwhelmed by the feeling of disappointment that I wasn't able to like capitalize on all the auditions, because auditions aren't a given.
Yeah.
You know, people don't, there are some amazing people that just don't get in the room. Yeah. And I was getting in the room, but I wasn't able to get that final yes. I remember one time my manager, he just found me like literally crying into like somebody's food. I was just holding this plate and I was just crying. He was like, go home and just figure it out. And then I think that was literally like rock bottom for me, because it's really, really hard.
Of course.
And then I think 3 weeks later I got the yes for 6.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like you have to just get like all the way to the end, because I was literally going to give up. Like I was like, I think I had like 4 major finals in a week, and then I kept like, I'd do the finals, and then I like a few days later I'd get the no, and I'd get the next no, I'd get the next no, and then like the last one was the 6, and then I got the yes, and I was like, this is what it's all for.
Yeah.
This is literally, makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
You can go through all of that disappointment. You can, you know, you work so hard, and you just need that one yes.
Yeah. Well, yes, trying not to. Well, that's not negative, is it? Because it had a happy ending.
100%. It's never negative. It's just real.
But to break it up a bit, I'm just going to throw some quick fire at you.
Okay.
So, steam or electricity?
Steam, 100%.
All the way, loyal to the end. Skates or blades?
Skates, definitely. Roller skating.
Grease ball or Electra? Sorry, I'm asking you to pick favourites here.
It's going to have to be grease ball.
Wembley or the West End?
I think the West End has such beautiful theatres. Like, I really want to, like, I'd love to be that beautiful theatre, but like, I think our purpose-built space is just so cool, and there's never going to be another one. So Wembley.
And as they always say, Wembley is only 2 stops from Baker Street.
Hey!
Yes. TV or film?
TV. I love a good series.
Red or white, as in wine?
I don't really like wine, but it'll have to be white. Probably with lemonade, though.
Fair enough. Sailing the seas or flying the skies?
Nothing beats looking out of the port and seeing the water. It's got to be the sea. It's gorgeous.
Sunshine holiday or city break?
Sunshine.
Making money or making friends?
Gosh. Really? Making money? I've got money to live.
And I suppose by doing that, you're also making friends.
Please.
Unless you don't like anyone on Starlight Express. That's a different podcast. Risk taker or playing it safe?
Risk taker.
Lovely. There'll be more of those later. So talking about cruise ships, talk us through what that's like, because I imagine that a lot of people hear about that and there must be a bit of a perception of, it's just a glorified holiday. But I'm sure it's obviously very taxing because you're still performing every single night, and it must be quite emotional as well, I assume, because you're away from everyone.
Yeah.
What's it kind of like, a day in the life?
Your cast literally become your family. They become your lifeline. So I think it's really important, if you are considering like going to work on a cruise ship, that you have that kind of attitude where you can kind of get along with everyone, but also just like see the best in everything. I think if you're away from home, family, friends, loved ones, and you can't like keep that kind of PMA positive mental attitude, you're really going to struggle on a cruise ship, because sometimes it is really tough. There are times, like, especially when we did return to service, which hopefully will never happen again, but we weren't allowed off the ship, so I didn't leave the ship for like 4.5 months. Which is a lot of time to be stuck on one vessel with also other restrictions, you know? So I think if we didn't come into that with the right attitude, you go stir crazy. Because being on land is so important. And usually you get to just, you know, hop off every day whenever you import and just have a lovely time, kind of the same as the guests. But when you're not allowed to do that, that's when it, like, the real work happens. You got to dig deep in the mind. But yeah, your cast just literally become your family, and I think that's why you build such amazing bonds with people on a cruise ship, because you don't have anyone else, so you just get so much closer, so much quicker. And it's really lovely. Some of my best friends are the girls that I've done 6 with. Because one, you know, to be a queen, they choose amazing people anyway. They're all incredible. But you just build an incredible bond. Such lovely people.
You always sense that actually on the Instagram feed for anyone that's in 6 in a company. You do sense that real kind of vibe and chemistry amongst all the casts. So
genuinely, I think, like, I know I've worked in 4 different casts and cultural as well. So not multicultural, but like people from Australia, people from America, people from Ireland, people from the UK, and all of them have just been wicked. Like, everyone, they've all brought something cool and new and fun, and getting to meet people from around the world, like, it's just so nice. And that's credit to the casting. I mean, you know, you've got to be talented, but you've also got to be a nice person.
In a weird way, actually, being sort of almost locked up on a cruise ship must have been quite a good way of channeling Catherine of Aragon, in the sense of being locked up in a monastery. So, you know, it's not a floating monastery almost.
Floating,
so,
You
know.
I always say to anybody, because I did 4 contracts, a lot of people are like, so you must have really loved it. And I always say, like, if you have the opportunity to go and do a cruise ship, and it's within your, you know, world, and you want to do it, and there's nothing stopping you, I would say go and do it. I had the best years of my life. I met some incredible people. I got to see some incredible places. I got paid to literally do what I love to do, which is performing, as well as traveling the world, because that is the beauty of the cruise ship. And as long as you know, if you don't have any kind of ties, or that you're able to kind of set that time aside, I think it's one of the best things I've ever done.
And staying on the subject of 6, I mentioned had Hannah Stewart on here, who's obviously done a number of stints in that show, and she was saying that the current cast is a bit like a kind of all-stars lineup, because so many of them have done different iterations of the show. Would you ever look at going back to that show? Do you think your time's done after 4 years, or do you think there's still life in your Aragon yet?
I love the show. I think it is just one of the most fun things I've ever done. And when you step out there in that costume, I mean, I'm very, very lucky. I've worn 2 Gabriella Slade costumes now, which is pretty iconic for me anyway. But when you step out in that costume and you've got the boots on and you've got your microphone, there is no better feeling. Like, you genuinely feel like a pop star. And I had the best time. I would love to give it another go. Maybe. Who knows?
Watch this space.
Never say never.
And it really is a show that obviously stands for female empowerment. And on that subject, I noticed for Women's Day, I think it was, you took part in a gathering of leading ladies. And watching that video, you know, the fact that you've got Vanessa Williams there, Maz Murray, who I just think is an icon of the stage.
She is.
What was that like? I've already said pinch me moment, but was that another one where you're like, wow, I'm part of this amazing collective?
An absolute honour to be asked to be there with these humongous names that I literally look up to. Like, back in, I'm not sure what year, but a while ago, I was part of the LMTO chorus for a concert of Cinderella at Cadogan Hall, and Maz Murray played the I don't know the correct title, but she's like the evil stepmother. And she was just incredible. And I literally sat there the whole day like, I want to be as good as you. And now I think maybe 5 years on, me and her are in this like panel talk together,
Yeah.
and I was just like, that's not an I made it moment, but that's when I was like, my life is insane, and
Yeah.
I was literally like, I really have worked so hard for this, and
Yeah.
I've been honoured with like this little opportunity, and it was such a lovely time. I mean, you see these people. I mean, Vanessa Williams was so normal. That's the word I've got to use, because she's an icon. Like, she is like humongous.
Yeah.
She was just a lovely, lovely woman. She was just talking to me like a normal person.
Yeah.
And there was no ego. There was no, like, she was just so normal and chatty. And look, I'm sure Vanessa Williams does not know who I am, but she was
Does
just
now.
talking to me as if, we were pals. And I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh. I rang my mum afterwards, and I was like, I was just like Vanessa Williams. And when the cameras weren't rolling, she was just talking to me about random stuff. And I was just like, it was actually insane. It was insane. That was an amazing, amazing, amazing day to talk about something that was so important as well.
Yeah.
Not just for me being there, like, oh my gosh, but to get to be there and to get to meet Georgina Castle as well, who's just a gorgeous lady. She's such a lovely girl, and we were kind of the youngest of the group. And Zoe Burkett in the centre was I mean, her energy is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, they are just powerhouse women, and to get to be part of that was a great day.
I mean, and it feels like the West End is in such a good place now in terms of like really, really strong female roles, being at the centre of really big shows, Tina, Mamma Mia, Wicked, obviously Six. In your sort of dreamscape, we've obviously talked about Six, but what would you love to do next? Are there any of those shows that you're like,
gosh,
I
I actually haven't seen Zoe Burkett and Tina, because I've been to see it a few times, and she's not been on. But I need to go and see Zoe and Tina again before she leaves, because Tina is like that show is incredible, and all of the women that play Tina Turner are like vocal powerhouses, and I would love to have a go at that. I'm not sure if if I can do it justice quite yet. It will take a lot of work, but they are incredible, so I would have to say Tina. I think it's just amazing. And also, people in my cast will know, we have a female grease ball in Starlight Express, which is a brand new thing. They have gender switched the role because our incredible Al Knott is just perfect for it, and she is wonderful, and I don't think I could ever quite do it as justice as her, but I would love to give grease ball a go in our very own Starlight Express.
Well, I was going to ask you actually about gender switching as well, because that does happen an awful lot more now in kind of modern contemporary theatre. And is there a role that you do look at that is traditionally male presenting that you do think, oh, wow, give me a chance to do that? I'll put it out there. I'd love to be Anne Boleyn in Six. If you could make that happen. What would you like to do? Yeah.
I would actually love to have a go at... Is he called Harold Ziegler in Moulin Rouge?
Oh yeah,
I would love like anything that kind of fun character. I'd also love to do Hermes, which I know has just been played by Melanie LaBarry, and Hermes in Hadestown I think would be iconic. And then I think like Rum Tum Tugger or like Macavity and Cats. Just iconic roles I'd love to have a go at.
Yeah, I could totally see Rum Tum Tugger is just so perfect to be.
I would love to do that.
Going back on to Starlight Express, Lon Saturn, who played the original Popper before it became Mama, I saw many times in that show and was in it, I looked up the other day, for 13 years. You've just signed on for a second year. Could you ever see yourself doing such a long run in
Do you know what? I am a little bit of a sitter, and if I'm having fun, I see no reason to not continue. And at the moment, I'm just having so much fun. I go into the building every single day and I laugh. The cast are just hilarious. And if I am enjoying it, I can see myself going and going and going until the body gives out. Yeah, I will be there.
I'll see you back here in 13 years and we'll reflect on that Starlight Express journey.
You say 30 years, it sounds so long.
Yeah. Then you'd be like, right, I'm going back to 6 now. And I noticed as well a couple of months ago, you went to the Wicked premiere, which must have been incredible, and doing the green carpet and all of that. Would you say someone like Cynthia Erivo, who obviously had kind of started in the West End pretty much, would someone like that be quite an inspiration? And do you, again, would you see ever a future for yourself doing something like film?
I think Cynthia Erivo is just an enigma. I mean, her talent and her like energy is just magnetic.
Yeah.
And I love how she's kind of carved out this life for her. And I think anybody who is within this industry would love to put their fingers in every single pie within, you know, the industry. The entertainment industry is so humongous, and I think I would never say never to any opportunities that came my way. Wicked was incredible, and she is so perfect in that role. If there was something that, you know, that worked out for me, then yes, sign me up. But yeah, I think I really enjoy like all the aspects of the industry. I really love I'm looking into presenting at the moment, which is so fun.
Well, you bring me on to my next question, because I did notice you've got a presenting show reel on, and I mentioned Jane McDonald, and so that would be another comparison. But
get me on Loose Women.
That could be next. But is that an area that you want to focus on more?
Yeah, I loved it. I think I really found a love for it during lockdown. So I when we got sent home from the ship, obviously the UK was just, there was nothing really going on, and I was like, what can I do that like just keeps me creative and that just like gives me something to look forward to, because my days were just spent at home doing nothing. And I ended up looking into radio, and I started making like radio like reels, and I think I made like 6 or 7, just like pretending that I was on the radio in my bedroom. Luckily my boyfriend works in TV and film, so we have quite a lot of equipment, and I ended up sending them off, and I started doing a community radio in Watford. So I used to like drive up there like once a week, and they kind of taught me how to use the station, and I got to have this radio show for 2 hours, and I absolutely loved it. I just thought, this is so fun. I love talking, if you haven't noticed, and I just thought, this is so fun, and I love music and I love talking. And then of course, you know, the world started to jig back up, and I went back out on a ship, so I kind of had to like give it up, and you know, had to focus on doing what you know, my first passion, which was obviously musical theatre. But I would love to get back into it, and I'm kind of, being in a stable job is incredible, because you know what your weeks kind of look like, and you get to do it every single week. So I'm kind of using my spare time to look into the other avenues.
And again, it feels like it's something that you could easily combine with what you do now. Like, again, going back to Maz Murray, the fan club. But she, I think, hosted the What's on Stage Awards or something like that.
Yes,
so you can dip in and out of.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants me to host their awards, like, keep Maz Murray out.
And Amber Davis obviously does.
Yeah, she has her podcast. So it's definitely, you can definitely do it alongside other things, 100%.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe how fast the time has gone, because I do genuinely feel like I could just talk to you all day, and there is so much more I would want to cover. But as a final question, this is quite a tough one, but what do you think the musical of your life would be called?
My gosh.
I should have prepped you for this and given you time to
that's
think about.
Such a hard question. I wonder if it's something as kind of basic as like the Jade Marvin show, and then
nice.
like the little 2 dots, and then like a song cycle.
Oh, I like
because
that.
I feel like especially with like the kind of elements of entertainment that I enjoy doing, like you know, radio and presenting, that kind of ties all that in. And then because also my life has been so random, I think a song cycle would actually help to like piece it all together, because I don't think that it needs to have a linear story, because it's just too odd. So something like that.
That's one for Andrew Lloyd Webber to make a start on next. So there we go. Well, honestly, thank you so much for coming in. Obviously, you can catch Jade in Starlight Express, 8 shows a week. Tickets are still on sale. Don't think it's going anywhere soon. And you can also catch Jade on the Starlight Express album, which I indeed have myself. And for more information on City Academy, of course, go to the Instagram on @CityAcademyUK. And we will see you very soon. Jade, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All good?
Oh, that was so lovely.